What's up, people, and welcome to another episode of Kelvin's Garage. So today I want to talk to you about a very important maintenance item, and that is your tires. So we just got our two front tires changed at my favorite auto supply store, Walmart. And the reason why I go to Walmart to get my tires changed is because, well, based on the previous research I've done, it is the cheapest place to get your tires changed, and they have a pretty good selection with pretty decent quality. But there is one huge caveat. The service is a little bit on the shaky side, let's put it that way. So you have to be very vigilant when you get a new set of tires at Walmart. And today we're going to talk about that. Okay, so before I start talking about my experience getting new tires at Walmart, I want to talk about tires, period. Now, tires are the single most important maintenance item for your vehicle. And now why is that? Well, it's the only item that touches the road, okay? And so a lot of the feeling of the vehicle, the feeling of the road, everything about how your vehicle handles and drives will be translated and transmitted through the tires. So you best take care of your tires, make sure you get a decent set of tires, make sure they're inflated, etc. Okay? Now, tires are going to affect every single part of the driving experience. And if you get a good set of tires, it can completely change the way your car handles and rides and feels. And in fact, it probably is the most significant item that will affect how the driver feels on the road. Okay, so if you're having problems with the suspension feeling bumpy, or it not handling too great when you make a corner, or the tires slipping in bad weather, for example, when it's raining, tires are the best solution, okay? It beats everything. It beats a new set of bushings. It beats, of course, if the bushings are still there and not completely hollowed out, okay? It beats struts. Okay, as long as the struts are still there, a new pair of struts will not improve the feeling of the ride more than going from a worn out pair of tires to a brand new set of tires. Okay, so even struts themselves, the shock absorbers, do not give as much of an impact. So tires are very, very important. Okay, so we're out here at Walmart, far end of the parking lot. And if you've ever been to Walmart for service, you know that there's the main entrance, okay? Now, if the Walmart that you're headed out to even has car maintenance, you'll be going around the back here. So if you go around the back, we'll be able to see where the tire, oil, and other service maintenance items are available for your car if you go around the back. Okay, so here is the car maintenance area at Walmart. Okay, here the auto center. We've got tires, we've got oil changes, we've got all sorts of good stuff here. So you just drive up your car here, wait in line and tell the guy what you want, and they will help you right away. Normally, okay? Okay, so here's our Civic, okay? And these are the new tires that we just got at Walmart. Okay, these are the Douglas Performance 45,000 mile tire. Okay, for my vehicle. And we're gonna talk about some of the few important things that we should know when we get our tires installed. Okay, so the first thing you wanna figure out is, do I even really need new tires? Okay, how do I know? Okay, well, a couple of things that you can tell about the old tire. Now, these tires are the new ones, so I don't have the old ones to show you. But basically, the one test that you need to look for is, well, first of all, is it flat, okay? So you can just take a look at the tire and tell if it looks dilapidated or kind of stretched out. Okay, that happens over time when people overinflate and deflate the tire. It could look kind of stretched out or flat, especially this part here where the tire meets the floor, okay? It's supposed to look a little compressed, but if it looks too compressed or flattened, that could be an issue, okay? So that's one item. Okay, the second item is look at the sidewall. If you look at the sidewall here, this is a brand new tire, so it looks pretty clean. Okay, it's clean and there isn't any rubber that looks deteriorated. Now, on an old tire, what you'll notice is that the sidewall rubber will start to deteriorate. You'll have cracking. Okay, so look for cracking. And the reason why that happens is, well, the weather, you know, road conditions, use over time. And so despite your tire being maybe a high mileage tire, like a tire that can go for 45K, 50K, 60K, 80K miles, you know, my feeling is that that is talking about the tread wear and how much the tread has been designed to handle in terms of mileage. However, you'll notice that even on those tires, if you look at the sidewall, you might even see cracking there. Okay, so my recommendation is not to get the ultra high mileage tire. Okay, because when you do that, you run the risk of possibly the tire just getting old. Okay, the tire will get old, and you're just going to get cracking on the sidewall. It'll start flattening more, and even though the tread might still be healthy, you might even get some cracking on the rubber there as well. So you should look for that. Okay, and finally, the most important measure of whether you need new tires is to look at the tire tread. Okay, so you look at the tread of the tire, and based on that, you can tell whether you need new tires. Now, brand new tires will vary in the amount of rubber from this inner part of the tire to the top of the tread. So that may or may not be a good measure. Okay, so of course with higher mileage tires, or tires that are capable of more driving distance, the initial amount of meat, so to speak, on the tire is thicker. Okay, so you know, you can count your miles and see how much, you know, life you're getting out of them, or you can just do this simple test. Okay, no matter what tire you got, if you start getting worn out on the tire, you can just take a look at it. Okay, and I do what I call the grip test. Okay, so you just stick your finger in here. You just stick your finger in here and just see how much meat is left. Okay, this feels kind of meaty, right? Feels kind of meaty. Of course, these are brand new tires, so they're going to have a lot of meat on it. But as time goes by, this tread will just start wearing out, and soon you'll be left with very little rubber on the tread. Okay, this meat will essentially dissipate almost to like nothing. Okay, and then you might even arrive at the condition that we call bald tires. Okay, in which the tires are completely absent of tread, and you can just basically stick your finger here and not feel any tread at all. Okay, so in the case of bald tires, you definitely need a replacement. Now what I like to do is I like to replace it before that happens, and that's what I did. I still had a little bit of meat on here, and you know, the tire shop or wherever you go to can tell you how much you have left. They'll actually stick a ruler here and then measure the height, okay, of the tread. But like I said, we can just do the good old grip test and just stick your finger in here, see how much is left, and that should be able to tell you how much or how much longer you have until you need to get your tires replaced. And of course, the fourth test, now some people like to do this. If you're kind of old school, you might see people walking up to the tire, okay, and they'll start kicking it. Okay, they'll kick it to see how much air is in it. You know, that might give you some indication of how inflated or deflated it is, whether it needs air, or maybe even whether it's just kind of old and had its life pretty much spent. Okay, so those are a number of little quick ways you can check to see if you need new tires. Okay, another way is you can also come around the front of the tire and take a look at it from this angle and see how even the tread is. Okay, so how even can tell you whether or not you have an alignment issue, or the car has some kind of a suspension issue, and maybe it's more worn on the inside than the outside. All right, so if it's more worn on the inside or outside, you might have some kind of alignment issue, and you might want to check it out. But as soon as the tire starts getting worn out and you come to a point where there is little to no tread on any side of the tire, you should get them replaced. Okay, these are brand new tires, so you can see it's all pretty even. So these are good to go. Okay, so what do I mean that you have to stay vigilant when you get your tires? Don't you just drive your car into the service place and get your tires changed and that's it? Yes and no, okay? Because there are a lot of details when it comes to wanting to change your tire that the person who is working with you may or may not have picked up on, okay? So the first thing, which tire you want. Okay, so there's so many different brands, there's so many different performance ratings, etc. There's so many lifespans on the tire that you can choose from. Okay, so those are a number of the key things that you want to focus on. All right, so go into the store, pick out a tire. Okay, like I said, the parameters are the size of the tire. Okay, that one's the most important one because it has to fit properly. The second one is the brand, right? The brand and the type, right? And the characteristics of that tire will be related to the brand and the model you pick. And those characteristics involve, one, the speed rating, okay? So you can look online, all the various speed ratings there are for tires. Okay, they can go from T rating, H rating, V rated, Z rated. Okay, those all have a corresponding maximum tire speed, okay? So if you're performance oriented, you may want to get a higher speed rated tire, okay? And the tire that I got, they're H rated, okay? H rated, I think that's rated for up to 130 miles an hour. Not that I'm going to be going down the freeway, down the block to Safeway at 130 miles an hour, but it's a tire that can handle that speed. I'm assuming that that means that the tread won't rip off, okay, if I get up that high, okay? So to me, the higher the better, just because it means that probably at lower speeds, it's even more secure, okay? So the speed rating is one characteristic of the tire you want to look at, okay? And of course, how many miles of lifespan the tire has. Okay, this can range from 30,000 miles to 40,000 miles to 50,000 miles, even up to 80,000 miles. Okay, so the tire that I got is the Douglas Performance. Okay, it's a Walmart brand, I believe, but it's the Douglas Performance 45,000 mile tire, and it has a speed rating of H. Okay, it's an H-rated tire. And of course, the most important thing that I mentioned earlier is the size. Okay, so keep in mind that when you look at your tire, you must know this. This is the size of the tire. So for the Honda Civic, it's 205 55 R16. And now we can get into the details of what each of these numbers mean. But in a nutshell, 205 means the size of the tire. 55 is related to the profile. Okay, so lower means thinner profile, higher means thicker profile, okay? Of the tire itself, okay? Not necessarily of the tread, but of the tire itself. And R16 is the size of rim, the size of wheel that it fits on in inches. Okay, so this is 16, so these are 16-inch wheels, steel wheels, the original. Okay, and those are the appropriate tire sizes. I would not recommend ever getting something deviant from the manufacturer's recommended tire. Although some people do. If you do, please go to a specialist shop. Another thing you can do is you can open the door of your car, and usually there's a sticker in there which tells you what the tire size is. And here's all the information again, okay? We've got the tire size, we've got the pressure specifications, okay? We've got the spare tire size, and look here, it says here, P205 55 R16. That is the original manufacturer recommended size. So if somebody who owned your car previously got the wrong tire, you can always go back to the original tire. And this is the speed rating, 89H. 89H. Whoever is helping you at the auto center, they may not remember all your details, believe it or not, all right? So they're gonna go, maybe it's just after their break or just before their break, they're gonna waltz out of there, look at your car, take down some information. You know, maybe they're distracted by 5 different people while they're doing this. Okay, so at Walmart, it's up to you to make sure that all the details are correct. Unfortunately, that's the case, all right? So when we got our tires changed, I have to say it was one of the worst experiences. Okay, it's one of those nerve-wracking experiences that you have no idea what's going to happen. And so you really need to be on top of it and look at every single detail that's on the page and that's happening to your car. All right, so a lady came out, looked at my car, took down the information for which tire, all right? And she just saw my old tires, which are Douglas, and she thought, oh, you just want Douglas? Okay. I said, I want Douglas Performance, okay, which is a different tire from Douglas All Seasons, all right? But she thought I wanted Douglas, all right? So she went onto her computer, she was typing away, okay? I wanted to not have the warranty. Okay, so Walmart will charge you, I think, $10 per tire if you want a warranty, roadside warranty. And I just didn't want it because I've never had it, didn't feel the need for it. So I didn't want to pay for that. Okay, but again, more mistakes. You know, she's distracted. She's punching it in. All right, she put in the warranty. Okay, so you really need to look at the screen. You really need to look at what happens is they'll print out a piece of paper. You really need to look point by point where the heck all these charges are from. Okay, because when you get tires, there are several things that they do. Okay, they take the tire, the old tire, and there's a disposal fee. Okay, there is a mounting and balancing fee. All right, so that's the amount that they charge to put the tire on, to balance it. Okay, and all tires need to be balanced. Okay, it's part of the tire just being installed correctly, because there could be some imbalances in the wheel and tire combination. So they put these little weights on the tire. So there's that fee there. There's a most of the time there's a valve stem fee. Okay, which means that, you know, they've got the new tire on there. They need to install that little valve stem thingy where you put the air in. Okay, that is also new. Okay, and they charge for that. Okay, so there's all these little fees. You can start out with, I believe, a $53 tire, like my tire, and end up paying maybe up to $100 per tire. Okay, depending on if you paid all these fees, paid for the used tire recycle fee, whether you got the warranty, etc. Okay, so you really need to be very vigilant at each line item on your tire estimate. Okay. Okay, I wanted Douglas Performance. So you have to look on the screen there. DGPF is Douglas Performance. And she almost put the all seasons on there. Okay. All right. So there's all these little tidbits of information that you need to make sure that they fully understand. Be on top of it, because they won't be. Okay. They've seen 24 tire changes that day, right? And so you are the only one who cares about your own car. You need to make sure that all the details are correct. Okay, Walmart, it's a cheap place for tires. I'm going to admit that. You know, it's the most affordable place. You get a good tire, but sometimes there's something missing in translation over there. So you need to make sure that they do not make any mistakes. Okay, so the reason why I get the lower cost tire, the Douglas tire, 45,000 mile, is because I don't want to spend $100 for my tire and get like an 80,000 or a 90,000 mile tire. I only want the cheaper tire. And as I explained earlier, that's because tires have two lifespans. Okay, they have one lifespan, which is the mileage on the tire. As it wears out, it gets discarded over time, right? Because then all the rubber's gone. You can't use it anymore. And then there is a second factor, which is just simply the age of the tire. All right, getting a 90,000 mile tire doesn't mean that I can slap that on my car and not change the tire for, 8-9 years. Okay, somewhere in between, you're going to have to change a tire again, just because the tire itself has gotten old. The rubber is old. The rubber is old, and it starts deteriorating, and that's how they get you. Okay, they're going to upsell you the more expensive tire with the higher mileage, knowing that before the mileage has been expired, you'll need a new tire. Okay, so get a cheaper tire. You're going to be doing it regularly. So I recommend just get something in the 40 to 50,000 mile range. And then that way you know that they balanced it. The tire's working well on your car. It's been freshly done. And then they've looked at your car. They've inspected everything. And so that's the best situation, I believe, to keep your car's tires maintained. Okay, so you're probably wondering, why Douglas? Okay. So one of the things you have to keep in mind is that even though Douglas tires are the cheap, off-the-shelf Walmart brand, in the end, those tires, and any tires, in fact, are simply made out of rubber, okay? The majority of the product is rubber, which means that in the end, it's kind of like a commodity. And if you think about it, there are only several companies in the United States, maybe around the world, that make the proper rubber, the high quality rubber meant for tires. Okay, another aspect is that this is not some kind of rubber ducky, right? This is rubber that goes on your tire, which means it has to be very high quality. It has to meet certain standards for drivability. So keeping this in mind, and understanding this business aspect of the automotive industry, we can see that Douglas tires are actually not bad. And so what I would do is I would go online, and you should probably do this for any company you're interested in purchasing from, and look up the company. Okay, so if we look at Douglas tires on Wikipedia, and use Wikipedia, because Wikipedia will at least give you some kind of objective description of the company. Okay, so what we did is we went to Wikipedia, we searched Douglas tires, and it says very clearly here, look, Douglas is the trademark for a line of tires owned by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, which manufactures the line and sells them exclusively through Walmart. Goodyear registered the name in 1992 through its subsidiary Kelly Springfield Tire Company. So for those of you who are concerned and worried about the quality of Douglas tires, you really don't have to worry about that at all. You know, it's sold by a big company like Walmart. It's manufactured by a very, very well-known company, Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. So the quality in terms of the rubber and the safety of that tire is top notch, okay? And it meets Department of Transportation standards, so you really don't have to worry about it. The only thing is that maybe it has a less overall lifespan. You know, it's a 45K tire, it's not a 90K tire. So that's really the only thing about the Douglas tire that is less than, say, a branded Goodyear tire. But overall, Douglas tires are very good. They can be used just as well as any other tire. So I highly, highly recommend them, especially for the price performance trade-off of these tires. They're both good in the price, very low, very cheap, and the performance is pretty good. And you get them installed at Walmart, which has some of the cheapest installation and balancing for tires that you can find. Another thing I do is when I get my tires changed, I don't change all 4 tires at once. Okay, and there's a reason for this. When I get my tires changed, I only change a pair at a time. Okay, so when you get your tires replaced, you need to replace them in pairs, you know, front or rear, or all 4, which are 2 pairs, right? Okay, so that makes sure that it's even on both sides, for one thing. So don't just get 1 tire, okay? And then, of course, you can follow your manufacturer's rotation schedule on the tire. Now, when you get 2 new tires, and I think this is true for other tire places, it's definitely true for Walmart, what they do is they recommend that the newest tires go on the rear wheels, and whichever tires were not replaced go on the front wheels. So let me give you the example. In my case, my 2 front tires were wearing out and I needed them replaced. So the 2 new tires were going to go on the front wheels, and the 2 slightly used tires were going to stay on the rear wheels. Now normally what Walmart would do is, since I'm replacing the tires on the 2 front wheels, what they would do is they would put the new tires on those 2 front wheels and move those 2 wheels to the rear, and then take these slightly used tires from the rear and move those to the front. Okay, and they have very good reason for doing this. The reason why is because they don't want your car, you know, whether front or rear wheel drive, they don't want the car to lose traction in the rear. Okay, so stability is technically better, all right, when the better, higher grip tire is in the rear, all right? Now, that is a little bit contrary to my style of doing things. And for me, I like having the newest tire in the front. Why is that? Okay, well, this Honda Civic is a front wheel drive car, okay? And if your car is also front wheel drive, you will find out that the front tires wear faster than the rear tires, all right? So my rear tires are just slightly old. They're not that old, maybe just 1 year old. And so they still have a significant amount of tread left, okay? So I can put those on the rear and not really touch them, all right? Now, the front tires, if those are replaced with brand new ones with a tread which is thicker than the slightly used ones in the back, eventually over time, those that tread thickness will catch up to the thickness in the rear. All right, so it's just a little handy rule of thumb for me, so I have to rotate the tires less often. But knowing that the front tires will wear faster than the rear ones, given that it's front wheel drive. So I just like to put the new ones on the front. Okay, as long as you have a decent amount of grip in the rear wheels, you're probably going to be okay. But if your rear tires are getting low on tread or starting to go bald, you should probably replace those or move those to the front so that your rear tires are a little grippier than the front ones. Okay, so by my special request, I asked them to put the new grippy tires on the front and leave the rears alone. Okay, so after about an hour or two, they were finally able to replace the front tires. Now, it took a little bit longer. I'm not sure why. These days, Walmart likes to put those posters on the window so you can't see from the waiting room area what they're actually doing to your car. But, you know, it took, you know, maybe 2 hours or so. And that was it. So as soon as you take your car out of the service area, or as soon as they park it out of the service area, like I said, you need to be very careful to make sure that they did what you requested, all right? Which means to look at the tire, make sure it's the right model, make sure it's the right size, okay? And make sure it's mounted correctly, all right? So believe it or not, depending on the tire, there is a specific way to mount it. And I'm gonna show you that right now. Okay, before we inspect the work that Walmart did on my front two tires, I want to take a look at the rear two tires, okay? So these are also Douglas Performance tires, 45,000 miles. And if you look at it, they're actually not symmetric, okay? They are not symmetric tires. So take a look at the tread here, all right? If you look at the tread on the left, it looks kind of squarish, kind of rectangular-ish with some lines. This second column here looks kind of rectangular-ish also, but look at the middle, the third and the fourth column. Okay, you look at that and you see that there's a specific pattern on there that's a little bit different from the rectangular pattern. In fact, it looks like some kind of swirly pattern. The tire's been cut a specific way, okay, which probably is what gives it its performance moniker. Okay, and look at the inside tread. It is also very different. It kind of has a crisscross pattern to the tread. Okay, so if you look at this Douglas Performance tire, keep in mind that the squiggly tread is on the inside of the vehicle and the rectangular tread is on the outside of the vehicle, and this is for the rear left hand side tire. Okay, so we move to the rear right hand side tire, okay, and we look at it and we notice the same thing. All right, so on the right hand side we've got the rectangular style tread. Okay, this rectangular style tread is on the outside of the vehicle. The second column, going from outside to inside, also has that rectangular like cut in the tread. And columns 3, 4 have that squiggly, wavy looking pattern. And on the most innermost tread, we've got the squiggly looking cut in the tread as well. Okay, so make sure that this is the same case for the new tires. Okay, inside is the squiggly columns, outside are the rectangular columns. And this is very important because the service person, okay, Walmart, could have easily put the squiggly tread on the outside, okay, and the rectangular tread on the inside. So imagine if this right hand side tire were mounted just as it is, but on the left side, okay, and the left side tire was mounted just as it is in the orientation on the right side. That would be backwards, right? So we want to make sure it was not done backwards. Okay, so after we looked at the rear tires for reference, we can now take a look at the front tires, the brand new ones that were mounted. And we see here that the front left-hand side or driver's side does show the correct tread pattern in the correct orientation. Okay, we've got the rectangular tread on the outside of the vehicle and the wavy tread on the inside of the vehicle, right? So that is correct. And we've moved over to the right-hand side of the vehicle, or the passenger side of the vehicle, in the front tire, and we see also that we've got the correct orientation. You see the rectangular tread is on the outside of the vehicle, right? And the wavy looking tread is on the inside of the vehicle. All right, so it looks like they did their job correctly and they mounted these Douglas Performance tires in the correct orientation. All right, so our car is perfectly balanced on all four corners. Okay, so when they mount the new tire, there are a couple of things that they do. Okay, they mount the tire and they balance the tire, and they also give you a new valve stem. Okay, so if you look over here, this is a new valve stem, okay? So they actually replaced this. Okay, it's not the old one that was just stuck in there. I think you can reuse it technically, but most of the time they replace this with a new valve stem. If you take this off, you can tell that it's pretty shiny, it's pretty new, but make sure the valve cover is on there. Okay, and another thing that they do is they put weights on the wheel in the balancing process. You can't really see the weights right now, but they're usually hidden beneath this hubcap here. Now you can probably identify the location if you do a quick scan around the perimeter of the wheel. Okay, so if we look around here, we can try to find where the weights are. Okay, I'm not seeing it right now, but let's take another look on the other side of the tire, or on the other tire. Okay, so I didn't find the weight on any of the two new tires, which means that those guys were probably pretty good and they just mounted the tire and it was already balanced. So there's a good probability of that happening too. Okay, if these guys are good enough and the tire is well made, and the wheel hasn't suffered any damage, there's a good chance that the tire was balanced right out of the gate. Okay, but I went to my rear tire to show you exactly what I mean by balancing. Okay, if you look under this hubcap here, there's a location in which there's a weird looking clip. Okay, and I'm not gonna show it to you in its entirety because it's hidden by the hubcap, but if you just look here, this is the weight. Okay, so when they span the tire on the balancing machine, they noticed that it was a little bit out of balance. So what they do is they put this little weight here and they clip it on to the wheel. Okay, if you look a little bit deeper in there, it's got some kind of a weight rating in grams or something like that. And what that does is it helps to counterbalance some kind of unevenness on the opposite end of the tire. Okay, most of the time you'll only see one of these. Sometimes there's more than one of these. Okay, if they're sloppy or if the wheel is really out of balance, you might see more than one of these, but most of the time just one. Okay, and since these are the stock steel wheels, you know, they just put them on there. They don't really think too hard about the cosmetics of it. Hubcap's gonna cover it anyway, so whatever. Okay, but if your car is nice and fancy, it's got alloy wheels, you know, you want to impress the ladies with your ride. Okay, sometimes you don't want these weights to be sticking out on the outside of the wheel and giving you this ugly looking piece of metal which basically disrupts the look of the rim. Okay, in that case what they do is they put this weight on the inside of the tire. So actually, and I think only tire shops, real tire shops, not Walmart, will do this. So on the inside interior lip of the wheel, they will glue or attach some kind of a weight, and that is what is used to balance the tire. In our case, this is Walmart and this is a cheap car, so whatever, they'll just stick it on right there. As long as it does its job, it'll be fine. All right, so after you get your tire job done, you get this really nifty receipt. Okay, so let's take a look at the details on this receipt. And like I said, when you do this, you really want to be sure that you know what you got. Okay, I know there's a lot of information here, but make sure you understand fully what they did here. All right, looks like they did some extra work. You know, they did a battery check, tire pressure check, 32, new tire, pass. Okay, they've got some dot number, okay, for the front and rear tire checks. Okay, they also check the driver front, passenger front tire pressure. Those are also 32. Okay, new tire complete, dot number check, etc. Okay, so that's just basically a little quick check of all of the items related to tires. Okay, the next thing we've got here is the mount. Okay, mount only. All right, so you mount the tire. All right, those are completed. Mounted the driver's front and passenger front. All right, so that was $0. Okay, so far so good. We've got the tire hauler fee. All right, so that is the disposal fee. Not a lot of money, just $1.50 per tire. Two at $1.50, that's $3. Okay, and there it is, $3. All right. Then we've got the lifetime wheel balancing. Okay, so wheel balancing lifetime. That sounds pretty good, right? So if it ever gets out of balance, okay, you should be able to hear that or feel that when you drive over time. But if we look here, the balancing was $14 each. So 2 at $14 is $28. All right, and those two items were complete also on the driver front, passenger front. Okay, and we've got the TPMS reset. Okay, so most newer vehicles have a tire pressure monitor sensor, all right, which tells you if the tires have been flattened. Okay, if the tires are flat or running out of air, usually it shows up on your dash. Okay, so they had to do something with the sensor there. They had to reset it. Probably they just moved it around or something. Probably not too much work over there. That's $0, okay? And I also got a headlight restore job. I'll talk about that in the next video, but that was $25, okay? That was complete, okay? And then we've got this, what is this? TPMS service pack install, okay? 2 at $3 is $6, okay? They tell you how much they torque the lug nuts at, 80 foot-pounds, that's pretty standard. Okay, 80 foot-pounds, so that's properly torqued. Okay, so labor total is $62. If you subtract the $25, that is $37, right? $37. Okay, and then we've got the description for the tires themselves. All right, so make sure they have the right info. That's the tire size, 205 55 R16. DGPF means Douglas Performance. Okay, new tires, 2 of them at $53 each. That's $106, okay? So $106 plus the $37 that I mentioned, right? $37, okay, is going to be $168 minus 25. Okay, so what's that? 163, 143. Okay, so it should have been 143 if you exclude the headlight restore service, okay? Now, this is important because if you look here, right, 143, it's, you know, it's kind of high, right? I mean, it's not dirt cheap. I mean, it's pretty cheap, but if you think about it, you walk in the store and you see a tire that costs $53. Okay, you see a tire that costs $53, and you get excited because 2 of those will only be $106. Okay, but with all the installed and all these little extras, it becomes, you know, 140 something, and, you know, maybe that's a little bit more than you expected. But still, as I said, Walmart is the cheapest place to get tires. You can't beat the price for what you get. Okay, and it also says here, I signed for 2 tire installation. Okay, this is the guy who did the headlights and tires. Sometimes they say something like you requested the 2 tires to be on the front. You did not want them to be on the back. Okay, so this is the receipt. You know it well, study it well, make sure you know what you're paying for. Don't forget there is also a little bit of tax on this too. So there'll be another couple extra dollars taxed on the tire cost, okay? So that is our tire receipt. Don't lose this. You got a warranty with it, so remember, if there's any issues, you could always go back. Okay, Walmart, unfortunately, as much as it is a grocery store, right? It's a home goods store. You know, there's some service items for your car, okay? But it is not a full service specialty auto repair shop, okay? So they only offer a limited number of services, okay? And the one main one that one might complain about is when doing your tires, they can mount the tire, they can balance the tire, but that's it, okay? There's one important item which is missing from that list to make sure everything is running smoothly on your tires and wheels, and that is the alignment, okay? Walmart does not do alignment, okay? The proper way to do a tire install and make sure your car is running as smoothly as possible is to have the mounting and balancing, and then do a 4-wheel or 2-wheel, depending on your vehicle, but you should be doing a wheel alignment, okay? In order to do a wheel alignment, you either need to take it to a specialty shop, a specialty tire shop. There are some do-it-yourself tools that you can buy online to try to align it yourself. I don't recommend that. That's probably for an advanced user, okay, advanced user or advanced mechanic. But usually you'll take it to a tire shop or wheel shop, and they can help you align everything, okay? Because once you've got your new tires installed, guess what? You take it for a test drive. Everything feels great, okay? The tires are perfect. They're not noisy, right? Everything's smooth. It's not bumpy anymore. But you're gonna notice something very different. Okay, so after taking your test drive, you may notice that you're trying to drive in a straight line, okay? But the wheel pulls to the left or to the right, okay? Now that's a very, very possible scenario. And that's because maybe you got used to your old tires and how they were inflated and, you know, how they were worn out, all right? So that maybe the car was running a little bit more centered, okay? When you get new tires, you might notice that the car pulls to the left or to the right, all right? So once you've gotten new tires, that pretty much eliminates any cause that the tires were creating for any misalignment, okay? So the front tires are new and inflated. The rear tires are fairly new and inflated. Both sets of tires are balanced. Okay, so we can pretty much eliminate that as a cause of the car pulling to the left or to the right. So the only thing left is the alignment. Okay, so if after you've gotten your tires replaced, you notice this behavior of it pulling to the left or the right, you need to do an alignment. So try to do an alignment as soon as possible at your local tire shop. They will do it on your car, even though you didn't buy the tires from the shop. And I think the cost is maybe $50 or something for labor. Okay, but they'll give you a nice little computer printout. It tells you all the little degrees and angles on the camber, on the caster, etc. Okay, on the toe. Okay, we'll talk about that next time. But basically, they should be able to work out any little minor issues that you have with the car pulling to the left or to the right. Okay, so like I said, that's my only complaint about the lack of services at Walmart for your tires. Otherwise, they're as cheap as it comes. The quality of the tire itself is pretty low. The only thing you need to remember to do is hold their feet to the fire. Make sure you are getting what you asked for. All right? So I'll see you guys next time. If you like this video, like, comment, or subscribe. And I'll see you in the next episode of Kelvin's Garage. Bye-bye.